The acid rain fell in shimmering curtains across Helix 9's barren surface, casting an eerie glow under the flickering artificial lights of Rescue Station Aurelia. The year was 2327, and the freshly forged alliance between humans and the glittering orange-skinned Zellarians was starting to show its first cracks. Within the dome's protection, Liara Velour moved with calculated precision, her amber eyes reflecting the holographic displays around her. "Expand search radius to 20 kilometers," she ordered, her voice carrying the distinctive melodic undertone of her Zellarian heritage. As chief bioengineer of the Interplanetary Alliance, Liara was known for her rational approach, cold demeanor toward colleagues, but unwavering dedication to her missions. Today's objective was straightforward: coordinate the rescue team, collect biomedical evidence, and verify the identity of any survivors from Chimera 7. The science team nodded in unison, manipulating the holographic controls to widen the search parameters. Liara watched the scanning grid expand, her mind already cataloging the variables and statistical probabilities of finding anything, or anyone, after 3 months. That's when she saw it. A lone figure stumbling through the acid rain, the silvery droplets sizzling against what appeared to be a standard-issue lion bone combat exoskeleton. The face was barely visible, smeared with old wounds, hair matted and dripping with acidic moisture. "Scan vital signs," Liara commanded, feeling an unexpected flutter in her chest. The biometric scanner hummed to life, projecting a holographic readout that caused everyone in the control room to freeze. Pulse, normal. Blood oxygen, normal. But the DNA, altered. "It's Captain Alex Ryder," whispered one of the technicians. "But that's impossible. He was confirmed dead 3 months ago." Liara moved toward the airlock, her usually composed features betraying a rare hint of shock. As the outer doors hissed open, allowing the figure to stumble inside, she stood face to face with the supposedly deceased human captain. The scanners continued to ping with readings that defied all scientific understanding. "Impossible!" Liara exclaimed, her voice uncharacteristically emotional. "You should be dead." Alex Ryder, his eyes glazed with exhaustion, and something else, something that sent shivers down Liara's spine, simply collapsed at her feet, disrupting every rescue protocol and invalidating every scientific and political assumption the Alliance had made. His resurrection signaled something beyond their control, beyond their understanding. The mission had just become infinitely more complicated. "Evac to medbay immediately!" Liara's voice cut through the shocked silence that had fallen over the control room. 2 Zellarian medical officers rushed forward with a hovering stretcher, carefully lifting Alex's unconscious form onto it. Under the cold blue ultraviolet lights of Aurelia's medical facility, Liara and Dr. Maroro, an Earthborn biomedical specialist, began their examination. The scanner's projection illuminated their faces with an otherworldly glow as the results came in. "Mitochondrial density has increased by 400%, Dr. Maroro noted, watching the holographic cross-section with growing astonishment. "Body temperature is 5 degrees Celsius above normal human baseline, yet there's no indication of fever." Liara's slender fingers moved across the holographic interface, zooming in on cellular structures that pulsed with an unnatural rhythm. "His quantum DNA exhibits bioluminescent patterns beneath the skin, synchronized with his neural activity." She turned to Maroro, her voice low. "He has undergone cellular restructuring at the quantum level, a phenomenon I've never seen before." As if on cue, Alex's eyes fluttered open, unfocused at first, then locking onto Liara's face with alarming intensity. His lips moved, barely forming words. "They're coming. It wasn't what you thought." Before either Liara or Dr. Maroro could respond, Alex slipped back into unconsciousness, leaving them in a state of bewildered panic. The medical bay doors hissed open without warning. Commander Richard Hayes strode in, flanked by 2 security teams, his Alliance military uniform impeccably pressed, despite the station's humid atmosphere. His eyes, cold and calculating, fixed on Alex's still form. "Captain Ryder is to be transferred to Command Orb for military intelligence debriefing immediately," he announced, not bothering with pleasantries. Liara straightened, her orange skin seeming to glow more intensely with indignation. According to Interplanetary Medical Protocol, Section 47B, only the Chief Bioengineer, that's me, and the attending physician have authority over patient care until medical stability is confirmed. Hayes' expression hardened. "This is a military matter now. Chief Valur, all Medbay authority is hereby overridden by Security Directive Epsilon." "He's not stable enough for transport," Moraro interjected, stepping between Hayes and the medical bed. "Moving him could cause irreparable damage to his altered cellular structure." "Your concern is noted, Doctor," Hayes replied with thinly veiled contempt. "But my orders come directly from Earth Alliance Command. Force escort will commence in 30 minutes. Prepare him." As Hayes and his security teams retreated, Liara felt a war raging within herself. Her training urged her to follow Alliance protocol, but her instincts screamed that something was fundamentally wrong. If Alex left her medical supervision, she knew he might be killed, experimented on, or exploited by whatever shadowy agenda Hayes was pursuing. "We need to protect him," she whispered to Moraro once they were alone. The Earth Doctor nodded grimly. "I've seen that look before, in intelligence operations. Hayes isn't here for a simple debriefing." With practiced movements, Moraro slipped a submal tracker, a device no larger than a grain of sand, onto Alex's neck. "Whatever happens, we'll be able to find him." After securing Alex's vitals, Liara made a decision that could end her career, or worse. Using her authorization code Echo 79, she hacked into the station's deep security archives, pulling up the files on Chimera 7. The video footage showed Commander Hayes meeting with two figures in Chimera 7's laboratory before the reported explosion. One wore the black, unmarked uniform of Alliance intelligence. The other stood at least 2.5 meters tall, with metallic black skin and a flat face punctuated only by two vertical slits where eyes would be on a human. Their conversation, though partially corrupted, chilled Liara to her core. "No evolutionary leap requires sacrifice," the tall figure was saying. Breakthrough catalysts functioning as designed," Hayes responded. "Vanguards will be ready when the harvesters arrive," the intelligence officer added. Liara realized with growing horror that the Chimera 7 incident hadn't been an accident, but part of a conspiracy involving a superior force, later to be identified as the Architects. With time running out, Dr. Moraro, drawing on his experience as a former Alliance intelligence operative, proposed an escape plan. "We'll access the environmental control panel and trigger an emergency contamination alarm. That will force Hayes' transport ship to remain sealed for at least 30 minutes per quarantine protocol." "And then?" Liara asked, already calculating their slim chances. "I'll plant an emergency beacon east of the station to draw away the security teams. Meanwhile, you'll get Alex to the Xylarian research vessel docked in Bay 3. It's running on minimal crew during the investigation." The plan was risky, but they had no alternative. As the fake contamination alarm blared throughout the station, Hayes was forced to initiate an emergency motor shutdown. In the ensuing chaos, Liara and Moraro slipped Alex out of the medical bay and made their way to the research vessel, Zephyrus. Their first step toward uncovering the truth had begun. Aboard the Zephyrus, Liara used her biometric signature to override the ship's security system. The vessel hummed to life around them, its sleek Xylarian design optimized for both research and, fortunately for them, rapid escape. Alex stirred on the medical bed they'd hastily set up in the ship's small lab. The bioluminescent patterns beneath his skin glowed more visibly now, pulsing in rhythm with the ship's quantum engines. "He's stabilizing," Moraro observed, checking the portable medical scanner. Whatever happened to him, his body seems to be adapting to it. Alex's eyes suddenly opened, clearer than before. He struggled to sit up, and Liara moved to assist him, noticing how the quantum patterns beneath his skin brightened at her touch. "How much do you remember?" she asked, trying to keep her voice professional despite the turmoil of emotions she was experiencing. Emotions that violated every Zalarian cultural norm about maintaining emotional distance, especially from other species. "Fragments," Alex replied, his voice stronger than expected. "When Chimera 7 was about to explode, I was caught in the catalyst. It tore me apart, then rebuilt me. I was dying. Then I was in a state of chaotic consciousness, learning, and then I came back." "Learning from what?" Moraro pressed, exchanging a concerned glance with Liara. "The architects," Alex said, the words sending a chill through the small lab. "They've existed for millennia, manipulating evolution across multiple species. But they're not the real threat." He paused, wincing as a wave of quantum light rippled beneath his skin. "The harvesters are coming, a parasitic superspecies that consumes entire planets. Hayes believes the vanguards, humans, altered like me, but differently, will fight against the harvesters. He agreed to let the architects perform forced evolution to create weapons." Liara's mind raced with the implications. "We need to alert the Xylarian Confederation and the Interplanetary Alliance immediately." "Not yet," Alex cautioned. "First, we need proof beyond my testimony. We should head to the Helios cluster. The nearest Xylarian research outpost should have recorded evidence of harvester activity in the sector." The decision created immediate tension. Liara wanted to follow protocol and alert her superiors, but Alex's argument was compelling. If Hayes had compromised Alliance leadership, a premature warning might be silenced before it could spread. With reluctance, Liara plotted a course for the Helios cluster. As the Zephyrus engaged its quantum drive, leaving the Aurelia station behind, she wondered if she just made the most important or most catastrophic decision of her career. The journey to Helios took less than 12 hours with the Xylarian vessel's advanced propulsion system. As they approached, the ship's sensors detected a debris field where the primary research station should have been. "Multiple ship signatures," Liara reported, scanning the floating wreckage. "Xylarian research vessels, human transports, even Draconian scout ships, all destroyed." "Any life signs?" Moraro asked, preparing medical supplies in case they found survivors. A ping from the sensor array caught Liara's attention. "Strong life readings from the secondary Helios station. It appears to be damaged, but still operational." They navigated through the debris field, the Zephyrus's stealth systems engaged to avoid detection. As they approached the damaged station, a communication channel suddenly opened. "Unidentified vessel, this is Helios Security. You are entering a restricted zone. Identify yourself or be fired upon." Liara exchanged glances with Alex before responding. "This is Chief Bioengineer Liara Velour of the Interplanetary Alliance aboard research vessel Zephyrus. We have an emergency situation and request immediate docking." A tense pause followed before the voice replied, "Approach Emergency Gate 7. Any hostile movement will result in immediate defensive action." They docked at the designated gate, which appeared to be one of the few still functioning parts of the station. As the airlock cycled open, they were met by 5 figures with weapons drawn, 4 Xylarian engineers in combat gear, and a muscular human with the insignia of Helios Security Chief. "I'm TK," the human introduced himself, his weapon not wavering. "Tark Novel, head of security, and you'd better have a damn good explanation for being here." Liara stepped forward, hands raised in a gesture of peace. "We're investigating the events at Chimera 7 and their connection to what happened here." TK's eyes narrowed, then widened as he noticed Alex behind her. "Is he a vanguard? Because if he is, you just brought the enemy right to our door." He's not a Vanguard, Liara insisted, stepping protectively in front of Alex. His DNA has been altered at the quantum level, but it's fundamentally different from the Vanguard signature. One of the Xylarians, wearing the insignia of a scientific officer, lowered his weapon slightly. Let me see the readings. Liara transmitted the medical data from her portable scanner. The Xylarian scientist, who introduced himself as Dr. Narus, studied the information with growing interest. The cellular regeneration rate shows natural integration patterns, he confirmed. Vanguard DNA exhibits forced bonding markers and cellular degradation signatures. This is something else entirely. TK reluctantly signaled his team to lower their weapons. You picked a hell of a time to visit, Chief Allure. We've been under attack for the past 72 hours. The Vanguards decimated our primary station and would have finished us off if their ships hadn't suddenly withdrawn. We need to see your surveillance footage, Alex said, stepping forward despite his weakened condition. It may confirm what I experienced at Chimera 7. TK led them to the station's damaged command center, where holographic displays flickered with intermittent power. This is what hit us, he said, activating a recorded sequence. The footage showed a fleet of sleek, predatory vessels entering the Helios sector. They deployed swarms of drone-like objects that scanned the research stations before the larger ships systematically destroyed the defense systems and then launched direct attacks. Those are Vanguard ships, Alex confirmed grimly. And they're definitely of Alliance design, though heavily modified. But why attack a research outpost? Moraro questioned. What strategic value does Helios have? Dr. Narus stepped forward, his orange skin pale with stress. We were studying anomalous quantum signals from the outer rim, signals that match what you described as harvester communication patterns. Alex nodded solemnly. The harvesters are coming, but the Vanguards are already here, and they're clearly not on our side, despite what Hayes believes. He calls them the Vanguards, the future force of humanity. A plan began to form among the unlikely allies. The Helios station housed 3 pyramidal signal jamming devices that, if recalibrated, could broadcast a warning to both the Alliance and the Xylarian Confederation simultaneously. These devices were designed to block harvester communication, Dr. Narus explained. But they could be repurposed to transmit on all frequencies, standard, quantum, and neutrino channels. I can interface with them, Alex offered, the quantum patterns beneath his skin brightening with determination. My condition seems to create a resonance with this technology. As they prepared the broadcast, the station's sensors detected approaching vessels. The Vanguards had returned to finish what they'd started. TK and his security team took defensive positions at the main entrance. Dr. Narus armed himself with a Xylarian Gauss rifle, calibrated to penetrate Vanguard armor. Liara, drawing on her bioengineering knowledge, modified a biogun to target the neural junction points at the base of the Vanguard skulls, where their forced evolutionary changes made them most vulnerable. Alex, though weakened, focused his mind on the 3 pyramidal devices. As his hands touched the alien technology, the quantum patterns beneath his skin synchronized with the device's pulsing energy fields. He channeled his consciousness into the network, forcing it to reconfigure into a broadcasting array. The first Vanguards breached the outer doors just as the modified signal began to transmit. They moved with inhuman speed. Their armor fused to bodies that were no longer entirely human. TK and his 2 guards fired Xylarian pulse rifles, temporarily slowing the advance. Dr. Narus's Gauss rounds pierced Vanguard armor with precision, dropping several attackers. Liara positioned herself as the last line of defense, her biogun targeting the vulnerable neural junctions of any Vanguard that broke through. Each shot caused the altered humans to convulse as their forced evolutionary adaptations turned against them. Through it all, Alex remained in deep connection with the broadcasting devices, channeling more and more quantum energy into the signal. The patterns beneath his skin blazed like fire, and sweat poured down his face as he pushed the system beyond its intended capacity. "Almost there," he gasped, as the broadcast reached its peak intensity. In that moment of maximum tension, as the vanguards prepared for their final push into the command center, the broadcast signal activated. Every vanguard simultaneously convulsed, their neural systems overloaded by the quantum frequency. They collapsed in unison, the forced evolution that made them weapons becoming their greatest weakness. The broadcast had succeeded, but at what cost to Alex? Alex's body arched in agony as he absorbed too much energy from the devices, the quantum patterns on his skin blazing like torches. He screamed in pain, but continued to push the broadcast override into the system. His sacrifice ensured that their message, complete with evidence of Hayes' betrayal, the Architect's manipulation, and the Vanguard attacks, reached every corner of the Interplanetary Alliance and Xylarian Confederation. The effects were immediate and far-reaching. Within 10 minutes, Alliance vessels maneuvering at the edge of the Helios cluster received orders to withdraw. The Helios Information Center transmitted emergency alerts to the Alliance command ship, forcing Hayes to personally return to face the consequences of his actions. Intelligence councils from both the Alliance and Xylarian governments convened emergency sessions to discuss the new threats, architects and harvesters. Meanwhile, the vanguards, their neural networks shattered by the broadcast, lay dead or incapacitated throughout the station. The Architect's signal jamming technology temporarily ceased functioning, giving the Allied forces a brief window of opportunity. But the victory came at a terrible price. Alex collapsed, his life signs fluctuating dangerously as the quantum energy threatened to consume him from within. Dr. Naris and Liara rushed him to Helios's medical bay, working frantically to stabilize his condition. Under the sensor lights, the quantum structure in his skin gradually calmed, returning to a stable biological equilibrium. Though unconscious, Alex had survived, still an enhanced version of his former self, with physical and mental capabilities far beyond normal human parameters, but no longer in danger of being consumed by the quantum energy. The aftermath saw rapid changes throughout the Alliance and Xylarian territories. Commander Hayes was forced to confess his role in the conspiracy with the Architects. The Earth Alliance Council and the High Council of Xylar unanimously approved Directive 79, establishing a joint task force codenamed Nexus to counter the Architect threat and prepare for the approaching harvesters. Before Alex was transported to the Special Operations Station for long-term medical evaluation, Liara visited him in his recovery room. The quantum patterns beneath his skin flickered brightly as she took his hand. "I thought I was dead," Alex said with a weak smile. "But here I am, thanks to you." Liara's expression remained serious, though her eyes softened. "You taught me that what seems impossible can become possible, even love between us." The unprecedented crisis had created an equally unprecedented bond between them, one that defied both their species' norms and expectations. 6 weeks later, aboard the Xylarian flagship, Eternal Harmony, the preliminary interplanetary conference convened to address the dual threats facing their civilizations. Liara, now appointed as special liaison for the Joint Defense Initiative, stood at the presentation podium alongside Alex, who carried the newly created title of Captain Ryder, Special Envoy. Together, they presented the evidence, detailed graphical documentation of quantum DNA, video footage from Chimera 7, clips of the Helios station attack, and transcripts of Hayes' confession, along with Dr. Mororo's corroborating testimony. The representatives from the Earth Alliance and the Xylarian High Council debated intensely, but ultimately passed a resolution establishing Task Force Nexus, an interspecies special operations unit, co-led by Liara and Alex, responsible for detecting, containing, and neutralizing threats from both the Architects and the approaching harvesters. After the session concluded, Liara and Alex walked together to the observation deck, watching the assembled fleet, awaiting deployment orders. The quantum patterns beneath Alex's skin glowed softly as he put his arm around Liara's shoulders. They shared a gentle kiss against the backdrop of the viewing screen, which displayed the glittering Orion galaxy. Liara thought to herself how they had overcome every species prejudice and dark conspiracy to stand here together. The impossible had indeed become possible. Though the architects and harvesters posed existential threats from unknown origins, humanity and the Xylarians now stood united, and the love between Liara and Alex served as a beacon, guiding them toward an improbable but hopeful future. As they gazed out at the stars, their hands intertwined, the quantum patterns pulsed in harmony with both their heartbeats, a physical manifestation of the connection that had defied all odds. Whatever challenges awaited them in the vast darkness of space, they would face them together, their impossible love lighting the way forward. In the months that followed, Task Force Nexus became the vanguard of a new kind of interspecies cooperation. Liara's scientific brilliance combined with Alex's unique quantum abilities allowed them to develop detection systems capable of identifying both architect and harvester signatures across vast distances of space. The first major test came when harvester scout ships were detected at the edge of the Orion sector. Unlike the chaotic attack at Helios, this response was coordinated and decisive. The combined Xylarian and human fleet, guided by Nexus intelligence, intercepted and destroyed the scouts before they could report back to their main force. Alex's condition stabilized further under Liara's care. The quantum patterns beneath his skin no longer caused him pain, instead becoming an extension of his consciousness. He learned to control the energy flow, using it to interface with both architect and Xylarian technology with unprecedented ease. This ability proved crucial when they discovered an abandoned architect facility hidden in an asteroid belt near the Xylarian homeworld. Inside, they found evidence that the architects had been manipulating evolution across dozens of species for thousands of years, all in preparation for the harvester invasion they knew would eventually come. They saw themselves as gardeners, Liara explained to the Joint Council after their discovery, cultivating species toward specific evolutionary paths to create biological weapons against the harvesters. The vanguards were just their latest attempt. Humans forcibly evolved into perfect soldiers. But they miscalculated with me, Alex added. The catalyst was meant to create another vanguard, but instead, it created something they couldn't control, a bridge between their technology and our consciousness. This understanding led to a breakthrough in their defensive strategy. If the architect's technology responded to Alex's quantum signature, they could potentially repurpose it against both its creators and the approaching harvesters. Meanwhile, the relationship between Liara and Alex deepened, challenging long-held prejudices on both worlds. The Xylarian tradition forbidding emotional attachments to other species faced its greatest test as their highest-ranking scientist openly loved a human. Similarly, human xenophobes who had always distrusted the Xylarians were forced to reconsider when one of their greatest military heroes chose a Xylarian partner. Their love became symbolic of the new alliance, unexpected, unprecedented, but stronger than the sum of its parts. As they prepared for what intelligence suggested would be the first major harvester incursion, Liara and Alex found a quiet moment together in their shared quarters aboard the Nexus command ship. "Are you afraid?" Liara asked, her fingers tracing the quantum patterns on Alex's arm, watching them brighten at her touch. "Of the harvesters? No," he replied. "Of losing you? Terrified." She smiled, a gesture she had adopted from humans. "Impossible things happen every day now. You came back from death. I broke every Xylarian emotional protocol. We turned enemies into allies. I think we can survive whatever comes next." The ship's alert system interrupted their moment, signaling the detection of a massive quantum disturbance at the edge of controlled space. The Harvester main force had arrived. As they rushed to the command center, Alex caught Liara's hand. "Whatever happens, know that finding you made returning from death worthwhile." The quantum patterns beneath his skin pulsed in time with his heartbeat, a visual reminder of how the impossible had become reality. Together, they stepped onto the bridge to face humanity's greatest challenge. Their unlikely love, a testament to the power of connection across the stars. The future remained uncertain. But one thing was clear: the universe had never seen a force quite like them before. Perhaps that was exactly what it would take to save it.